PharmD Nation, giving a gift of money or personal property can make you feel really, really good. On the flip side, receiving money or personal property as a gift is also not such a bad thing either. But you need to be aware of there are rules that come along with giving gifts that you want to make sure you follow in order to maximize that gift and good feelings that come along with it. So rule number one is there is a $15,000 exemption amount annually for any gift given to anybody in the world, as many times as you want, as long as the donee is somebody different. So if you have 80 people that you want to give a gift of money to that year, you're able to give them each $15,000 and not have to report any sort of taxable event or have any sort of tax obligation tacked onto that, as long as each gift is under $15,000. I think a cool example is if you're a married couple and you have 3 kids, and each of those 3 kids are married, and between those 3 kids they have 6 grandchildren, you now have 12 people in your life. Your 3 kids, their 3 spouses, and the 6 grandchildren underneath them. So you and your spouse are able to give a gift of $15,000, so $30,000 to each of them every single year, which means you're able to give a gift of up to $360,000 every single year without having to report any sort of tax obligation or incur any sort of tax liability down the road because of that gift, because of that $15,000 per donor to donee annual exclusion or exemption. Rule number 2 is there's no tax deduction for the gift giver, and there is no income tax obligation or liability incurred to the person receiving the gift. So if you're a mother or father and you want to give a gift of $15,000 to your child, you don't get a personal tax deduction for giving that $15,000 gift. However, that child does not incur $15,000 of taxable income for receiving that gift. It's tax-free to receive because there's no tax deduction to take by giving that gift. Another interesting rule is if you give a gift of personal property and there is basis to that personal property, that basis gets carried over to the donee or the receiver of the gift. For example, let's just say you bought a stock for $1,000 and now that stock is worth $10,000 and you give that stock to a child. They are the donee, they are the recipient of the gift. Well, that child or recipient of the gift will take your basis, which means when it comes time for them to report any sort of taxable gain, their starting point is $1,000, just like it would be for you before you actually gave that stock to that child or that recipient. So that's important to know. And one final rule I think it's really important to know is that if you have any sort of inclination or ability to give a gift for tuition or any sort of medical bills, make sure to give that gift directly to the educational institution or directly to the medical provider. Because if you do that, that $15,000 exemption we talked about goes up to an unlimited amount, which means you can give as much money directly to an educational institution or a medical provider that you want without incurring any sort of tax reporting obligation or any sort of tax liability down the road. So just know if you are a person who wants to give a gift, there are rules that are tagged along to giving that you're going to want to make sure you follow so you can maximize the benefit and good feeling of giving that gift.